Yo guys, welcome to a new video on the Team Gullit channel. It's Levi here again, and today I will teach you everything about how to keep your defense structured. So first of all, before we go into the gameplay, we obviously need to talk about tactics, because tactics are a big thing as well when it comes to defense, and especially to keeping your defense structured. So the thing you want to look into most is the width and the depth, of course, of your defensive style. I personally like my width to be between 30 and 45 this year. In previous years I played it on 50 sometimes even, but I feel like this year it's really important to keep the middle closed. So that's why I put the width in my defense on 35. The depth is something as well which is quite important. A lot of people play it on 71 because you get the outer of side traps there. Personally, I don't really need it. And that's why I play it on 67, because I still want to play a high line, want to press, and in the other side want to keep the middle close. That's why in defense I play on 35 width and the depth on 67. Obviously you need to think about a few things when it comes to keeping your defense structured. Something you need to keep in mind is that you always want to defend with your attackers first. So if you are able to defend with your attackers, do that and don't switch too early to your center mids or your center backs. Same goes for when your opponent has passed your attacking players, then you have to defend with your midfielders, of course. Try to do that as long as possible so you won't switch to your defenders, because when you switch to your defenders, that's when you will lose the structure. That's what you want to avoid. Obviously sometimes it's needed, you need to step out, need to make the decision, but as long as it's not needed, I would always recommend to defend with your attackers and otherwise your center mids when that's possible. Something that's also really important when it comes to keeping it structured, as I already mentioned before, you want to keep the middle closed, because at the wing your opponent is not that dangerous, you still have time to defend him, but when he gets a chance down the middle of the pitch, he's always in a good angle to just have a shot on target. So that's why you want to keep the middle closed. And also for the instructions, something that's really important, if you ask me, is cover center or your center mids. Obviously I'm using the 4-3-2-1. As you guys know, if you watched the tactic video earlier, I defend in the 4-4-2 because I have my left center mid, in this case Puteas, on cover wing. But for now that doesn't count. You need to keep in mind that this formation is a 4-4-2 in defense, and then you want your center mids to be on cover center. So in this case, Bellingham and Valverde. That means they will always cover the middle of the pitch. They won't be shifting to the wing, and that's obviously what you want from your center mids, because your center mids are the two players which are key in keeping it structured in defense. So obviously, as I said, tracking back with your players is priority number one when it comes to keeping your defense structured. You want to avoid defending with your center backs as much as possible. You want to just keep your defense in a 4-back. If you play a 4-back, I hope you guys do, because 5-back is pretty ratty. If you do so, don't use it against me, because the structure from the 5-back is even better than from the 4-back, obviously. You want to leave the 4 defenders as long as possible. Don't switch to them. Just try to track your center mids back. And as you can see in these clips, when I don't do that as well, then my opponent is getting a chance to go in a 1v1 with my center backs, maybe do an elastio step over, and then that's where it starts to be difficult to defend. Something you also need to be aware of to keep structure in defense is that you have to use L2 and R2, so jockey and sprint jockey. You can use them both, like L2, just L2 means it will be jockey, and L2 and R2 at the same time means it will be a sprint jockey. That means you will just have way more control of your defender than if you just run with R2 or don't use anything at all. Making use of the jockey and sprint jockey is key in defense, and especially when it comes to keeping your defense structured. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you keep in mind what I said. Otherwise, just rewind the video, run it back, watch it again. Because if you want to get better in defense, you need to keep your defense structured.